Hey everyone, I welcome you back to Global Education Zone. And today, in this special episode of Data Processing for SS3, we are going to be dealing with database security. Now, database security, up to now, we've been talking about database management system, and so on, and other related concepts. Now, it's time for us to talk about the aspects where you have to think of how do you secure your data. Because for you to have been spending all this time thinking of putting together your your time, your resources, your data together and forming up a database, you making use of a DBMS. Now, it has to get to the stage where you have to sit down and be like, okay, I need to secure this my data because there are a lot of security breaches in our today's world. There are a lot of cyber security breaches. There are hackers. There are a lot of black hat hackers who are ready to take advantage of every loophole in your system, so to access your 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 confidential files. Now, and today, data is kind of very important today now today's world because there's a there's an increase in data that we have in our around the world. So a lot of people have a lot of need of all this data. So like criminals might want to know somebody's bank account details or your credit number, credit card details, and so on and so forth. So if you have that stored in a database, it can be a hot cake. So that is why you also have to be very serious. Whether you are an individual, you are an entrepreneur, or whatever it might be. So securing data is very important. Now, when we talk about securing our data, we have to talk about the concept known as database security. Now, database security involves the use of a broad range of information security controls to protect data, and that that it potentially includes database application or stored function, and so on and so forth. So you protect all those data, and you protect them from compromises against their confidentiality, their integrity, and availability. Now, those three things are kind of like the major things which we need to protect our data. We have to protect the confidential nature of the data. We have to protect the integrity of the data. We have to protect the availability. Now, when we talk about protecting the confidentiality, it means you are trying to protect that data, the number of people it is available to. That's the number of people that can see that data, that can alter it. So basically, if someone can see your data, then there's no confidentiality again on the part of that person. So, and then when we talk about the integrity has to be the fact that your data remains as you intend it to be. So basically, if you have a 32 words data, so your data should still include those 32 words. If you have a 140 character essay, and you have to, and you encrypt that essay. So encryption is actually one little aspect of data security. So I'm just giving an example. So if you encrypt that, so basically you should still have those number of characters and those exact characters. So that is known as integrity of data. So once somebody hacks into your system and then changes any one of these characters, even if it's just one, and replaces it with another, or deletes that character, that has breached your integrity of the data. Now then we also have the availability. So another issue with data security is that your data has to be available to you, the owner, whenever and wherever you need it. So you can't say you have data security when you encrypt a document and then you forgot the password, so it has lost its availability. Those are the three things that we need to ensure when we are trying to talk about database security. Now, database security, we also have the concept of data security, which is the practice of keeping data protected from corruption and unauthorized access. Now, when we talk about this, there are different importance of data security. It helps you to reduce the risks that can be encountered when you lost data. So I don't know, if anyone of one of you has encountered the loss of data. So when you lose important data. I've gone through that most of the time with my security digital card, SD card in my phone. So when I accidentally delete some important videos on my phone, important YouTube videos that I downloaded, or maybe important documents, I've deleted some stories that I've written, some books, novels, and I've had to start over again. And you know how difficult it can be to write a novel. So that is one of the example of data security. So not We don't just have to we don't just have to have a short-sighted view on this. You can think in beyond databases. So even though that novel is not a database, so it is still my data. So the data encompasses database, it encompasses your documents and so on and so forth. So that is what data security means. So data security is kind of like a wide field. Then under data security, we have a subset known as database security. So today we are dealing with database security, which is a subset of data security, and it's just basically the data security that has to do with your database, and that also has to do with your database management systems. Now, computer users are certainly more conscious than these days, but are your data really secure? So that's one question you should ask yourself. Now, securing data is one thing that allows you to draw up a plan and assess your risks. So there are different types of security controls. We have the access controls, we have the auditing, we have the authentication, or rather authentication, and then we have the encryption. So there are four major security controls we're talking about in this video. So the first is access control. Now, what is access control? Access control is the selective restriction of access to a place or other resource. So the act of accessing may mean consuming, entering, or using. So permission to access a resource is called authorization. And then we also have the auditing. So database auditing. What is database auditing? It involves observing a database so as to be aware of the actions of database users. So an example of that is making use of a intruder alert system. So basically, when you have all those closed circuit televisions, so and basically all those CCTVs, they basically help you to capture your intruder. So you are going to know who is breaking into your system. That's kind of an auditing method. Then also have the authentication. So the authentication is another part of data security that we encounter. So it's very very common nowadays. It involves your passwords, your fingerprint, your biometric authentication, and so on and so forth. So it means just trying to ensure that whoever is trying to access and alter and then access and change your data is you yourself. So you are trying to ensure that whoever has access to it is supposed to. So that is called authentication. And then we also have finally we have encryption. Encryption has become a critical security feature. So an encryption is often used in our documents and all those written files. So basically, when you have all those documents and files that are confidential, so even top secret documents of the government, of different governments around the world, they are mostly encrypted. So they can also make use of advanced data security control measures. But encryption is kind of like a level one security measure. So these are the major security measures we'll be talking about in this episode, and I hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you have more things to talk about this topic, you can also hit the comment section of this video. I'm eager to hear what you have to say concerning this topic, but this is as far as I can go. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next episode.